Okay, you ready? I think I've got it now. I think there's been a complication going on here. Doesn't seem to be. It's obviously Mercury retrograde. What a what a palaver! What a palaver! It doesn't seem to be going live. From my side, it's saying it's not going live. I don't know about you, but for me, it's saying that it's not going live. So yeah, learning a lot of lessons this week about Mercury retrograde. Certainly in the technological things. Have you guys been having problems with technology? Because I certainly have. I spoke to my daughter earlier on today about it, and about the Bluetooth. All of a sudden, it started playing. My phone started playing tunes on my car, and then cutting them off, and then starting off on a different tune and everything like that. And it's just been a real interesting learning curve. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I thought I was live there for the last sort of like 5-10 minutes by the looks of things, looking at the time. So I do apologise. Apparently I wasn't live. I hope everybody's well. Hope you're all doing well. Um, yes, so that is technological issues this week here. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, past lives, no past lives, life lessons. My word, I'm at sixes and eights at the moment. Um, yeah, life lessons. I you know we do you feel like I'm definitely learning one at the moment. Do you feel like you're learning life lessons at the moment, or as I said in that video that I put out earlier on this week, um, is it more of a case of remembering rather than learning? And I would certainly lean to that sort of way inclined, as it were. Um, and then it got me onto the idea of sort of kind of going, with rhythms in life, and we've put out some videos on the rhythms that we create in our lives, such as a 3 year cycle. Some of us have 11-year cycles. It's all tied into the cycle of the Earth, the Sun, the Moon. There's loads of different cycles going on, and that sort of like that rhythmical sort of fashion here. It could be a condensing of that rhythmical fashion. So everything we've learned in this life, right? This is, if we start with that, if we live what we've learned in this life, almost as if like it's coming back around. So this is why some of the things that happen in my life and maybe in your life as well, um, I feel like I already know the answer, and I've already learned that lesson, really, and it's more of a case of remembering. Now, in that case, it's like almost like we've done a trial run of life, and this is where we come into the 24-year cycle. The first 24 years of our lives is all about learning about ourselves, and then from 24 to 48 is all about the creation years. We create the family, friends, house, the job, the persona, all of those sort of things. And then from 48 to 72, I call them the wisdom years. And I've got the wonder years now in my head. Now that's taking me back. Um, the wisdom years of passing on the knowledge of what we understood about ourselves and what we created, and passing that on to future generations, as it were. And then from 72 to 96, you can pretty much on holiday, you can do what you like, sort of scenario. But imagine it's like a compressing component, because where we've learned a lot through our lives, and that's like they're all those lessons are all compressing into how to put them together. So it's not necessarily, maybe it's a case of not necessarily learning lessons, but more of a case of learning how to put those lessons together, as it were, in one sort of in a constant stream. And I think this is why, as well, I was talking about, and I do talk about rhythm a lot when I'm doing the chakra sequencing and so forth. And maybe this is the key at the moment to helping us to creating life. So, getting into that, if you imagine like the rhythm speeding up, which if you double the beats per minute, if you double it, you're still within the same ratio, but it's just, it just seems like it's going quicker, as it were. So it could be a compression of all those things. What is a life lesson? Maybe we should also look at that as well. A life lesson for me, for example, I don't know if anybody here has done past lives, looked at your past lives and what have you. I looked into my past lives 25 years ago. I did all of this sort of stuff. Very interesting, hugely interesting, actually. The main thing I took out of it was life is for living. So, please do enjoy. It's all about enjoying life, living life, even if it's as difficult as it can be sometimes. And, we'll go into this a little bit in a moment, but life can be difficult. But that was a lesson I've learned when I was a seal, and I got eaten by a shark, and that was it. It helped me to realise that actually the life I led as a seal, playing in the waves, was fantastic. I wouldn't have swapped it. Okay, a shark got me, but hey ho, you know what I mean. It's all part of the circle of life, isn't it? At the end of the day, so. That's what I mean. I managed to get past that whole idea of sort of, that life can be fun even when it's quite difficult, and that's what I would say is a real life lesson. And we have this also with I've talked about this before, the karma that's coming to an end. So means that you've got all your life lessons that you've learnt in different lives with you, and what you can do with that is incredible. It gives you enormous amount of strength and also confidence as well when you are trying to manifest something in life or do something in life or be you, basically, more than anything else. And I think it's quite good to have a certain degree of understanding of who we are, where we've come from, and where we're going. And so, I would class that as a life lesson in the sense that there is, there's a real point to that life. There may be many things that we learn in the lesson. So, like, if I was to go to university and I sort of like, and I was doing a degree in geography, but and I was studying glacial effects and stuff like that, and then I was studying something else. It all fits together, but there's loads of lessons in there. But the actual learning the life lesson was about nature. It's a real condensement. That's what I'd get in the way of sort of when I think of life lessons. And we have a lot of sort of little lessons along the road that help us to understand the lesson of this life as we accumulate them together. And as I said, life can be very difficult. And this ties a little bit into like the Ascension video here as well. There is comments coming through. I can't see them at the moment. Let me get back to the comments section and try and see if I can see what's going on. It is Mercury retrograde at the moment, and it has been very, very funny. Hello, Cosmic Love Tower. Hello, how you doing? Yes, life. I feel life lessons were for me to remember who I am. I am a Heyoka empath. Okay, I don't know what a Heyoka is, but sounds sort of like Eskimo or something like that, or Japanese or something. Heyoka, who holds the mirror up to all my past karmas. Right, okay. For who? Who's the mirror for? Is that for you or for the, is that for you or for helping other people? Definitely remembering the knowledge that the knowings are tangible. Yeah, I get that. Everything is magic. Yeah, totally magic. Everything is magic. It is very tangible, isn't it? Sometimes it's like, yeah, very tangible. There's, it's when looking at life. Um, if I was to do, let me just make sure I can see what I'm actually doing here at the same time. I've got technical stuff going on. Let me just bring that up. So yeah, so if you imagine it, life is like a circle, right? Okay, but if you look to the side, it's not a circle; it's actually a spiral. And sometimes life takes us over the same spot, but not exactly the same spot. And that's what, the more times, the more it comes together, the more tangible it sort of gets, as it were. So you get these moments. I've had these moments recently with certain things. Just it's not like a domino effect, but it's like a 3D domino effects where layers just go and compress into. It's like defragmenting, basically. That's what it feels like. So yeah, it is very, very tangible. I will get onto the comments section in a second. I do need to I need to displace a window here so we can actually see the comments. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. There we go. Let me just pull them up so everybody can see when they've got the future live, as it were. Okay, so yeah, life lessons. It could be a case of how to put them into a rhythmical sort of sense, and maybe it's a sort of understanding of understanding of sort of like how it all sort of like comes around and comes together. And once we get into that rhythm, we can anticipate what's actually coming. Good day, El Kabonga. Is that right? Am I pronouncing it right? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah, good day to you, my friend. How you doing? Welcome. Yeah, life lessons, are they compressing at the moment? And why is that happening? I did touch on it during the video, and it is a moment in time. I don't look at time as a linear fashion. You got to look at time as all. I look at it as more sort of spherical, almost like circular in a way, like the idea of the circle and the spiral sort of factor going on. You know, um, and time as a particular space where everything can come together and everything can exist in one time. And this comes up to Tome, New Mexico. Hello, Tome in New Mexico. Everyone in Tome in New Mexico. Kim, how you doing? Stacy, hello. How you doing? I I had technical issues at the beginning of the show, so I do apologise. People are gradually jumping in now, which is great. Um, and there is moments when almost like two or three. I feel like that two or three life lessons almost hook into one another, and you kind of go, "I get the bigger picture." Oh, I get the bigger picture, and it's quite emotionally emotionally driving. I think these lessons as well. I did talk about that when the alignments of the planets which we had at the end of March, which tied into all of the lunar eclipse, the equinox, and the solar eclipse. And the planets weren't, they weren't exactly lined up. They were just slightly off one another, but, very, very, very close on the alignment, as it were. But the other thing is as well is that none of the alignments encompassed the sun. All the alignments, if you imagine that's the sun, all the alignments were just either one side there, which had Earth, Venus, Mercury, and Neptune and Jupiter, I think, or Saturn, I can't quite remember which one it was. And then you had Mars, Earth, and it'd be Uranus or something like that, or So we had two alignments, but it wasn't perfect, and this made it may make emotions like two rhythms knocking against each other, and it makes it quite difficult emotionally. It feels, rather than big waves, it feels very choppy emotionally at the moment. And maybe this is the moment of where the energy is sort of like shaking in order to bring certain things to the surface at the moment. And this is, we can see this, well, I can see this, or if you've been watching the Messages from Energy as well, when we go into the center of the earth, you can see this flow that's going out gradually from the center of the earth. And there's been loads of changes within the energies in the center of the earth over the past 4 months, 5 months. There's been major changes. And I'm much more inclined to sort of say that's to do with pole shift and so forth. It's wave upon wave that's coming through at the moment, and this is creating that the perfect storm in a way, the perfect time, because our karma. When I started doing healing, and we will be doing healing live next week. I need to prepare for that for a little bit because it's a subject that I have close to my heart, and it's like, well, I really enjoy it. It's my main part of my life, really. And so I want to get that right. But yeah, we will be doing on the healing. But as I say, over the past 20, 30 years on my healing front, working with healing, I've seen, at the beginning, back in the early thousands, I was still seeing some people's karma that was working. And as I went through time, by 2010, couldn't really see anybody's karma that was still active. And the person had converted over to what is called, what I was calling, or we're calling, like a volunteer. That you've come to the end of your lesson, you're now here voluntary in order to sort of help things flow through and what have you. So, all of these things coming together, it's like the invention of technology and so forth. And as you can see, if we go just to the Earth, the poles have actually been really moving since 1859 with the Carrington event, about a solar eruption that caused the North Pole to just change its trajectory. And since then, it's been speeding up and moving, and it's now going towards, sort of Siberia and that sort of way towards the meeting of the South Pole, which is heading towards Australia at the moment. It's left Antarctica, as far as I know. It's actually left Antarctica. It's no longer in Antarctica, and it's in the sea on its way to Australia, And also the Earth is speeding up, and it's never been going so quickly as it has been going now. And if you were to liken it to a ice skating person who, when they're turning around, once they pull in their arms, they go a lot quicker. Once you put your arms out, then you go a lot slower, And this is the same sort of thing. Everything, it's like it's pulling the energy in, and then that's what the pole shift is. It goes like that. So all of these are coming in the same sort of thing. A ball of timey-wimey stuff. Doctor Who excerpt. Okay, is that out of Doctor Who? Blimey. Do you know, I met Tom Baker and the Daleks when I was a kid. I must have only been about 7. I don't know, and I got a signed photo of Tom Baker when he was Doctor Who. I'm showing my age now, I guess, but so this is all to do with the timing thing. Now this brings us into that, that ascension idea, and it's not that I just like the idea, the ascension idea. It is a natural progression to a continuing story of a spiritual journey that we've all been on, for hundreds of thousands of years, and it is a logical progression, and everything you get with energy is incredibly logical. It's not emotional. Energy is not emotional at all. It doesn't. Energy doesn't work like that. Uh, when I had my NDE, when I got upstairs, because you no longer have the body, you can actually know that you can't have an emotional sensation. It's very strange, but you're void of emotions, which is really weird. So energy, when you're looking at pure energy, it doesn't have emotions. So it will not like you more than it will like another person. That's not what it's interested in. Energy is interested in discovering. It's interested in creation or destruction, exploring. That's what it's all about. And that's when you can, if you explore your life, energy will explore with you. And that's when you get a lot more luck in your life. You get a lot more confidence and stuff like that. There is a moment when, I don't know if anybody knows about Carlos Castaneda and stuff like that. There is a moment, so I started off being a warrior. I was, as a young man, and I'm talking my early 20s, so over 30 odd years ago, as a very young man, I was a warrior for energy, as it were, and I learned a lot with Shiva and stuff like that, and then I was ready to, although I'd already done some hands-on healing when I was sort of like 16 and stuff like that. And then I was ready to move on to the next stage of being the healer. And then when you get to a certain stage, you no longer, and this is half of my problem, I think. You're hello from Spokane in Washington. Hello there. Is that Spokane or Spokane? Spokane. It's spoken well, maybe. You're spoken well, Rachel. Yeah, spoken well from Washington. Lovely to see you. So, yes. Yeah. So, in Carlos Castaneda, you go to a stage where you're no longer interested in energy for your own personal gain. And so, what does it matter that what you manifest? It's no longer attached to and I have problems with that, and I've had problems with that a lot all the way through my life. As a 7-year-old, I was in school, and the idea was that, we'd understood religion because all religions pretty much talked about the same thing. We'd understood, that we all come from the same place. We're all human, as it were, and we just needed to get our heads around money and politics, as it were. Or politics. We understood that politics is not the solution. So, and that's sort of, I think that's what we're coming towards here, is a huge and great understanding about money, about how we exchange between one another. And I think that's all to do with that common sense revolution as well, where, respect becomes much more valuable than money. So I think that's a big collective lesson that we're bringing in. And this is where we could have all those lessons that all sort of coming together at one time, because we're going through the pole shift, we're going through sort of like transformation of the Akashic libraries and the spirits, and there's that whole ascension idea that goes along with it. Coming back to the ascension aspect of it is, I was asking lots of questions about the ascension process and so forth. And for me, Tom Baker, yeah, is the best. He is the Doctor. Right, he is. He was. Showing my age too. Well, yes. Me and you too. So this whole ascension sort of thing of coming in, I don't think it's like um like like a Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not. I don't think there's going to be a moment where people just ascend and stuff like that. I've talked about how the sun can change its vibration, and some people may sort of leave this body because of that, and that is a form, as it were. But I think it's the moment of passing from this life to another. So I, with my idea of ascension, I give myself, and this is where we come in a little bit into the manifestation thing. I give myself what I would like to experience in another realm that may not be possible to experience on this realm here, on this reincarnation system, which is the solar system we have here, of coming back to Earth, learning over a period of time, and at some point Earth will become Mars. Mars will become the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt will become Saturn. Saturn will become Jupiter, Neptune, and Neptune, Uranus, and then Pluton. Then Pluton will get eaten up by the sun, and so all the planets move out. So Venus become Earth, and there maybe it's just a change of vibration, and it could happen like in a flash of an eye, really. And there's nothing we can do about that. So you can buy your bag for life if you want, but it's not going to change that. I'll tell you that now. That's a rhythm that's far greater than you and I. Yeah, I found her live. Good to see you, Top. Erin, good to see you too. Lovely to see you too. Yeah, long time. I haven't seen you for some time. I hope you're doing well. Yes, so this is that whole sort of coming together in one space and time, but it's over a period of time. And this is why I think we've got the Akashic Library within, I call it the library bus. That obviously goes back to the main library, changes the books it's got in its bus, and then goes off to the villages to provide a library service in the countryside. And so this is where the Earth, in the centre of the Earth, has this Akashic Library, which is collecting the spirits, or the souls, if you like, from those who pass over now to the moment of flip or pole shift and so forth, and that will then be reunited with the rest of the Akashic Library, and that will be that Akashic Library completed, and a new one will be being installed in its place, for a new dimension, because the Earth is changing. Therefore, and it's like, I know Dolores Cannon talks about sort of like the splitting of two Earths and stuff like that. It's like that. It's very much like that, but it's not. It's takes a period of time. As much as we've gone through the dinosaur age and everything like that, there's different cycles upon the Earth, glacial sort of cycles and so forth. So the Earth will be in a different place in the coming thousands of years. It will not be the same as it was before. It's permanently evolving, and it will evolve eventually into what we now know as Mars, and that will retain a certain volume of people who reincarnate onto this planet to experience that part of the evolution of a planet. So, and that may not be good for you, that may not be good for me. This is why the whole ascension thing is not necessarily that, because once you go outside the body, up and down no longer exists, left and right no longer exist. There's not that, you haven't, that sensation has gone. So everybody, no matter what you're doing, in theory, will be ascending somewhere. So maybe, ascension could be, equated to revelation as well, that sort of thing. So I'm a great fan of it. I personally, I just thought, hey, I'll tell you, I said, I don't want to get reincarnated. I've been on this planet, or been in this reincarnation planet system here for a long time, a very long time. And I said, I'd like to move on to something else. And I said, in that place there, they can't have money, religion, or politics. And but unfortunately, they don't play football, and they only do knitting. For example. So you can't have everything. It's like you pick the best which good for you, as it were. That's the sort of thing that kind of saying, when I move from this mortal coil onwards, that's what I would be looking for as a vibration to follow on to. And that's how I would equate ascension. And ascension, this is a long-winded way of trying to say it, maybe, but ascension cannot happen without you leaving the physical body behind. And so it happens like when you move from one life to another. And there was lots of questions as well. The reason why it can't happen at Tuesday at 4:00 in the afternoon, because if a child is born late, like at Tuesday morning at 10:00 in the morning, and then 4:00 in the afternoon, there's the ascension going on. Has the child prepared enough to do the ascension thing? Do you know what I mean? There was also another thing that was a bit interesting, was to be born with, remembering all past lives. And that's also, the reason it can't happen is because, in theory, the thing is, once if you reincarnated and knew what you've done in the last life, very, very, very quickly, everything that needs to be invented or everything that needs to be explored will be explored within no time, and there will be no purpose or raison d'etre of life. So it does need to be a bit of a game each time, a bit of a play, as it were. There is also advantages of that speeded up evolutionary process. It could probably, I think, only really truly happen when us as humans, and I'm talking, everybody, when us as humans have worked it out that conflict, financial power over another, territory, resources, minerals, everything like that, then we take away all the vices of the bad human traits, in a way. And once we can do that, maybe at that point there we can evolve at such a speed that we can actually voyage into space, as it were. It's one of the prerequisites of voyaging in space, that the planet has to be under one voice. Now, it depends on, I you know what I mean? Obviously, we all sort of say, in that case, what voice are we under? And that voice could be, you could be coerced into that voice through multitudes of different ways, and it just can't, if it has to come through finances or politics and religion, you'll never find peace in that. And that's what we need to find more than anything else, is peace. And I think this is where part of the whole life lessons coming into everything is that we can find peace within ourselves of how to engage in life and kind of take what we know and what we've learned in this life and start living that rhythm, kind of going, okay, so there's a little bit learning about my heart, there's learning about my sort of determination, and then once you get into that rhythm, kind of going, okay, the heart's coming up again, there it is again, okay, fantastic. And this is why I do the chakra sequencing. as well on the the messages from energy, because I think that rhythm changes on a daily basis. You only have to sit by a river for, I do my readings whenever I can by a particular river. It's absolutely beautiful down there. You get kingfishers and everything like that. And throughout the year, it's obviously higher and lower, depending on the amount of rain that's coming in and everything like that. And it sort of it sort of changes of sort of what's going on. I just saw some mortal coil, a peace, love, dove, mortal coil. Could this be related to the dove and the serpent? Dove and the serpent. What's the dove and the serpent? The dove and related to the dove and the serpent. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? I might know it under a different guise, but could the mortal? I think the mortal coil would be if you picture it as like the codices is the staff of Tot is the physical, is the body, and then the mortal coil that goes around the staff is the mortal coil. That's maybe what it is. And that gives us that directional vertical energy and so forth, and that horizontal energy as well, and no other chakras. But, if it's something different, please do tell me. Yes, I wish, comes from Kim. Yes, I wish I knew what I know now. Yeah, that's a song, isn't it? I wish, yeah, it's a song, isn't it? I'd sing it if I could remember it. I haven't sung for ages, have I? I've started singing again, actually, recently. Amen to peace. Be good, wouldn't it? Just think how evolved we could be if we stopped spending our money on things that were detrimental. And if everybody worked it out, you wouldn't need to lock anything. Therefore, you wouldn't have to produce locks. Do you know what I mean? You probably wouldn't need insurance. There's a lot of things you wouldn't need to do that we waste our time doing and creating and using a lot of resources. And actually, at that point there, you know what I mean? We probably wouldn't have to work more than... we wouldn't need to work more than 2 days a week. Really. Probabilities? I don't know what probabilities is. Okay, good. Well, I don't know what probabilities is. Is that Greek? Is that something Greek? Be interesting to find out. But yeah, I unfortunately I don't know what the dove and the serpent or the probabilities is. I'd like to know what that is. I could go messing around on the internet, but unfortunately I can't, because otherwise I'd lose my thread way too bad, and that I'd lose my mortal coil probably. Yeah. So and the only reason. Carl, hi, how you doing from Australia? How you doing? Yeah, I made the live tad early here. Is it really? I was speaking to my son earlier on, and he's in Brisbane, and he said it was very rainy. He said there was a lot of rain recently. Polarites, the unexpected channeler. The very unexpected channeler there. Welcome. You mean polarites? Polarites? I still don't get it. Maybe I'm being really stupid. That's very possible. I can be. I don't know what polarites are. Is it something to do with rights for polars? Poles, as in pole shift. The polar rights. Or is it right for polar bears? I don't know. It sounds like a political, sort of like a Arctic and Antarctic political system. Polarites. I'll have to look that up. Unfortunately, I don't know what it actually. The serpent in the Bible. Right. Okay, the serpent in the Bible. Are you talking about? Adam and Eve and so forth? You know, yeah, I'm glad yeah, life should be fun, isn't it? You know what I mean? Life should be fun. God, blimey. Is that what the serpent was called? Polarites? Then it's Latin then, obviously. Polarites. Okay. Polarites could have something to do with the polar ends of both ends of the cycle. You know, because when you get like a serpent, like I forgot what it's called now, when the serpent's eating the its own tail, as it were, and you get like this cycle that goes on. You get it on the well card, but they do it with two sort of cards, two sort of serpents rather than one sort of serpent, as it were. Um, Polarites is the opposites. Yeah, exactly. I totally get that. It is the, you know, the, but if it's the serpent, as in, well, the funny thing is that there's also serpent. You get serpent in so many different cultures. You know, in over in Europe, and in the UK, you used to call ley lines serpentines, and because the lines they meander like a river almost across the land, and then they meet with other lines, and then they form this sort of spiraling factor. And that's when I'm doing the, you know, the messages from energy. I go to the crossing point of the two energies, which are usually polar energies, and that's what creates that sort of spiraling sort of energies and stuff like that. I spelled polarites incorrectly. Oops, sorry. That's all right. I'm dyslexic. I can't read anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it. Peace, love, dove. But we got. I think we've only got there in the end. But yeah, no worries. Is that you're not spelling it right? Is that Mercury retrograde? So you know that serpent thing is really, you know, is this because it's not actually the serpent's not actually the devil, is it? Because it doesn't actually in the Bible. It doesn't actually say the devil. It just says the serpent, the the most cunning of animals in the kingdom, as it were. And you know, could this be the idea that you can talk to the animals? I'm sure my dog Cody's always talking to me. He won't shut up sometimes. It's terrible. You know, you can talk to animals, and maybe the animals have just explained a little thing about sacred geometry according to the golden apple. Because when you look at the golden apple, you get so much sacred geometry in it. It's phenomenal. But it's the magic of life because it holds the seed of life as well within the center of the apple. That's why it's a pentagram rather than any other sort of shape, as it were. So that is the fifth rhythm in life. You get 9 months, 18 months, 3 years, 6 years, 12 years. At 12 years, when you're 12 years old, what happens? Magic of life sparks into action. You get, obviously, for males, you get the testicles that start working, and for females, you get your menstrual cycles. You know, the magic of life can actually happen in that fifth cycle. At the end of that fifth cycle, the magic of life. Yeah, so, it was never really mentioned that it was actually the sort of devil, as it were. But if you go to, I'll tell you who was on there. Coral probably might well know. You know, in Australia with the Aboriginals, you've got these things called song lines, which are really nice. It's a great way of explaining maps. So they give you a song that you learn a song, so you learn the route that you can take from one place to another. And they've also got within their culture, which the Aboriginal part of the Akashic Library was the first part of the library to start moving on. They have this history where the creator god was a serpent, and it went across the globe, and it carried all the people on its back as it went across the globe, so people could communicate with one another. It was really good, and there was a lot of happiness going on, just to the point where man obviously did something wrong, and the creator God wasn't happy, So the serpent just stopped and died, but he left traces on the surface of the earth of his trail, the serpent's trail across the globe. And that is what is, I think, I would interpret it as the creator God left tracks of energy that goes across its surface on a line of a serpent, on which the Europeans, or even in the UK, it's called the serpentine. It's like when you, friend of mine, Hamish Miller, who did the Serpent and the Sun book as well, about the Michael and Mary line that goes across the UK and stuff like that. He recognised that whole sort of serpentine thing about it. When we used to exchange in sort of stuff. But yeah, so serpents do play, and it is they have that shedding skin sort of thing scenario. So it's going through layers as well, and it's going from one thing to another. But it is a beginning and an end thing. What's it called? Because you get it in the stars as well, when the Milky Way eats the back of the Milky Way like that, and it I had it on the tip of my tongue there, so you actually get all the star signs that go round the wheel, and we're moving into Aquarius at the moment. This is another reason why the life lessons are coming in. We should talk about Aquarius as well, the season of Aquarius, because we've just had Pluto that's gone into Aquarius as well for the next 15, 18, 20 years or whatever it is. I can't exactly remember how long it actually is, but all of this accumulating together is bringing us to a point where we as individuals can bring forth a great understanding of our life, which contributes to a great change within the collective, which also is associated with a great change within the planet we live, the solar system we live, the whole spiritual structure we live, everything. And as I said, there's a common sense to it. That's why I called it the common sense revolution, 2 or 3 years ago. And I was saying pretty much this time now is when the common sense revolution will be kicking in. And we're really moving heavily into it. So, yes, the serpent in the Bible. Because the thing is, wasn't his punishment to crawl on his belly or something like that? But the thing is, he was already a serpent crawling on his belly when he told Eve, I don't want to pick holes here, but, a bit of continuity, please. I'm terrible like that. It's the serpent can represent many things. This is from Cosmic Love Tarot. Depending on the person's perception of the snake, I see it as death and rebirth, a beginning and ending. Yeah, I'll go along with that. I'm all right with serpents. With snakes. I don't mind them. Is there a big difference between a serpent and a snake? Is there a difference in that, or are they the same thing? Is serpent maybe venomous, or snake is maybe the bigger title form? Yeah, even if you go back to dragons and so forth. The whole idea of St George, which obviously St George comes from Georgia, around Israel and so forth. It's St Michael as well, killing the dragon, and he's got a dowsing rod and he's dowsing the dragon, the serpent, and he's sticking his rod into the serpent, and the dragons of past could be likened to that sort of serpent energy that is perpetual but is renewable. It's renewing itself perpetually as well. So I can understand that sort of death and rebirth sort of aspect to it all. And that's possibly why the Well card on tarots the world card has like 2 snakes that go through it. Oh, look at that. I just happened to pick it up. Let me show you. There it is there. You know, you have these 2 snakes. The Viaphon. That's what I've been trying to remember. Thank you very much. The Viaphon. So, you know, that... even if you look in mythology, or if you look in sort of traditions within multitudes of different cultures, yeah, the serpent can mean enormous amount of different things. The Ouroboros, the cyclic snake. I really can't read at the moment, can I? And it's on the belt of the magician on the tarot card. Right, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Erin. Ouroboros. That's very close to the Aurora Borealis, isn't it, really? Which is the beginning and the end of the cycle of, if you imagine the Earth and the energy is going like that through the centre of the Earth. It's been drawn in, and then you have the central point inside the Earth where that's where all the magic happens, and then it diffuses what it needs within it, and it releases what it doesn't need. You know, so yeah, and it manifests what it wants. And that's maybe also, thank you. Yeah, welcome. Cheers. Lovely. Also at the same time, you know, he's got it as a belt as well. So basically that Viaphon that he has as a belt on the magician card is you have the upper section and the lower section. So it's dividing the body into 2 parts, you know, sort of thing. Energetic coiling and recoiling, perpetual rebirth. Yes. There is, you know, there is moments of it. If we're talking about being reborn within one life, there is this moment. There are moments in life where we do kind of go, wow, I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person. And that's, you know, that's that whole, but you know, if you take your vertical energy, it's like that spring that sort of like kind of goes, compresses. So your crown and your root compresses, and it's compressing on the rest of you. And this comes back to the idea that sometimes life is really difficult. It's really hard, and it should be fun whilst doing it. And it is walking down that valley of the death. You know what I mean? And down that road there is only one way out, and that is rebirth. You know, and that's like the whole sort of birthing canal as well. That is the equivalent of the valley of death. That's what it is. You are before born, and then you are born. You know, and we then also go through that within our lives. I had to walk that when I was in my early 20s, when I had my NDE and stuff like that. It was so tight, the pathway. There was no room for deviation, and a lot of people around me couldn't cope with that because it was like it was just so straightforward, as it were. And we do go through that. And if you are going through difficult times, you know, this is why I emphasize as well about what is good for you. That is the main thing. Do not get distracted about what it could be good for other people. What is good for you? Because that's going to be that light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to go, there is my goal. Like the star card, like the Hierophant card, which I love. I bet he's here somewhere. You know, is that in there? Is that in there? No, it's not. The Hierophant card on the other towers, he's got like this straight staircase behind him going towards the star, and I like that idea. You know, that's he's been down that stairwell. He's been down that valley of death, as it were, and there is no choices on either side, and it can be very difficult. But if you understand what makes a joy for you, just you, don't worry about the rest of the world, just what makes a joy for you, that is a starting point of opening that doorway, which is the light at the end of that tunnel, that you're no longer in the valley. You may well be physically, but you're already sort of liberated. and you just need to walk it now. And once you walk it and you come out the other side, yeah, I get the idea that that is like the energy recoiling and then springing out. But then that's like pole shift as well, because pole shift, the pole shift doesn't turn like that. It doesn't go like that. It goes like that. It comes in and then switches like that, sort of thing. And that's that whole recoiling and coiling and perpetual rebirth. And there is a certain degree of that within our lives, yeah, most definitely. And it could be a lesson that's learned in several stages as well. That we learn one thing, and then that's what I mean, we learn another thing, and at first we may think they're unrelated. But once we learn the third thing, we kind of go, oh, actually, that goes really well with those other two learnings. Therefore, that is in a collection. And, that's given you a comprehensive learning over a situation. And in each life, this is what I'm saying about the karmic path or the karmic block. It's made up of shells on either side. And because it's made up of shells, the reason is because you've got to learn each side of a situation. So like I use persecution as an example. You have to live a life as being persecuted and have lived another life being the persecutor to understand persecution. And that's why we have separate lives, because you couldn't learn the other side if you remembered the first side, and that's why we can't really remember between two lives. But then that was the old karma. The new karma now is completely different. It's much more fluid. There's no shelves anymore. It's like a lava lamp. That's what it looks like. But it's a hexagon. It's not a square anymore. And so there's fluid learning between one stage and another. And maybe this is where we do get onto the stage where we can be reborn and learning again. Coil and recoil is the spiral. Yeah. The coil is, it's a spiral. Yeah. Like a spring is coiled, so it's, oh, hang on a second. Just knocking things over. Sometimes if you pull the spring, you're recoiling, but also you're walking away from something. When you recoil from something, you kind of say, "I don't want that. I don't like that." And that's where you're creating that energetic tension. And then at some point you've got to release that energetic tension. Once you release it, then that's when you can use that coiling factor to actually go further on. So as it comes through, you pull that tension, and then when it gets released, then it gets moved on. Most of us goes through walking through the valley. I think most of us goes through walking through the valley of death, where I feel no evil. I think Saturn and Pluto plays a massive part in that journey. Very possible. Saturn is a planet that is compressing. Okay, it's compressing. It's getting out all the impurities. That's why it's got rings in particular. Most planets have rings, and I think the Earth even has rings. But Saturn in particular is getting out the impurities. And once those impurities are out, you're left with Jupiter, which also then gets out the other impurities and so forth. So I can totally understand that. And Pluto is like this sort of it's all of the understanding of that planet's journey from being Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, asteroids, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus and Neptune, or Neptune and Uranus, and then it becomes Pluto. So you got 4 physical worlds, and then you got 4 gas worlds. That's what's going on. So because the sun wants the gas, so it gets compressed. So much gas gets compressed down into Pluton, and then eventually the sun will eat Pluton because it's hungry for gas. So the life's role is to create as much gas as possible to serve the sun, its host, as it were. So you have those two distinct cycles, one of a physical world and one of realm. So, you can have earth and air, as it were. That's those two sections of it. You can have also sort of fire and water, as it were, because Pluton is pretty much just like frozen gas. It's gone through that liquid stage and gone on to frozen gas. Hi, Lynn. Didn't see that. Sorry. Do apologise. I saw there was a comment, but I haven't read it yet. Sorry. Do apologise. How you doing? Welcome. Yes. So this is why you may be experiencing a tsunami of understandings, I would say, rather than life lessons. I say life lessons because that's what everybody talks. Everybody says that. So it's a concept that we can all grasp and everything like that. Thank you very much, Erin, as well. Bless you too. And it's this whole sort of cycle is sort of like coming together in a sort of understanding where we can actually now start. Once you get into this, I didn't go into earlier on, and I like to just finishing it off on that sort of thing. But once you go into the idea of manifestation and the idea that everything already exists, we just haven't made it yet. That's a sort of like the concept. Excellent. It's good to hear, Lynn. And so if you know the rhythm and you know yourself, you know your understandings that you're going through and getting them sorted into a little rhythm within your life, that point there, you can use that rhythm there to emphasize or put emphasis on a certain part of that rhythm. So if you're looking for, say, like, sort of like a love or a new job, in that rhythm, you're going to have moments which are more associated with love or more associated with the material world, like the 4 planets of the earth and the 4 planets of gases. And once you know that rhythm and you start applying that part of it, so if you're looking for a job, you're pushing on that sort of side. When those lessons or those understandings are coming to the fore, that's when you're really pushing to open up a new job, business, or whatever. And then when the emotional side comes in, there's probably a moment when you kind of go, I can relax. I don't have to try anything hard. Okay, here comes back the other side. Okay, now I need to work. I need to push on and everything like that. And so getting into this rhythm is really important. And that's why I do the chakra sequencing as well, because that can help you to understand there is moments. I do it, the rhythm is actually really quite quick. But let's just say you can get those, like if you look at the rhythms that go over a year, you get seasons. But then you can have those seasons within a day. Autumn is equivalent of like midnight to 6 in the morning. Winter is like 6 in the morning through to midday. That's when you're sort of waking up, getting things sorted in your day, start doing things. And then from midday to 6, that's like your spring. You start you see growth in your day, getting things sorted out. And then from 6 to 12 is like summer, is the moment you should be enjoying the fruits of your labor, as it were. So, those sort of rhythms, the moment we can understand that we can have not necessarily an influence upon the rhythms, but we can use those rhythms in order to help manifest what we could perceive can actually exist. But we can, we have to start jumping into that rhythm so it actually becomes part of our lives, as it were. And there's a whole process of manifestation as well, which we could do as a live on another day as well. There's a whole methodology to that. There you go. I'll get there in a minute. There's a whole mythology to manifestation. But this is where, this is half where you get to a stage where money doesn't doesn't really carry that any more weight for you, it changes what you're trying to manifest. You're no longer trying to manifest that big house with a big fast car and stuff like that. And to manifest happiness and love and stuff like that, that's not possible either. You can't. It's not, because it's a fleeting moment. If love was there permanently all the time, it's like if you were just eating. If you only ever ate, say, like chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream or whatever, you'll get sick of that chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream. That's why emotions are tied to the physical world and the physical body. Energy doesn't do that sort of thing, and you need a lot of. It's working with energy, which helps to manifest things. Well, as you're using the manifestation thing. That was a big journey there, wasn't it, really? We went off on some major tangents. Do you have any sort of like, is there any sort of like questions or anything like that? Is there any other sort of questions or ideas that you want to share according to sort of life lessons, the rhythms, ascension, whatever sort of like, floats or you are curious about at the moment? There's different rhythms as well for different signs. The rhythm for Capricorn at the moment is completely different to say like the rhythm of Taurus, for example. And that's according to the reason, there's a lot of things in astrology and so forth. So, there's your personal rhythm in life, but there's also, combining it with your celestial sort of like rhythm as well. It's not a small affair. We may end up just sort of like you're passing your entire life just trying to go. Do you know what? At the end there, I thought I was on it. Okay, spot on. Last week, I thought I'd trust the process and work on my business slowly. 2 days later, I was told the owners are selling and I need to be out in 60 days. Working on growing cash now. Sounds like you were liberated then, Lynn, in a way, maybe. And this is like, that's a real life lesson to let go and allow it to happen. Methodology. Have you spelt it correctly this time? Why me? Why now? Methodology. Why me? Why now? That is why the why me? Why now? And it is an individual sort of thing, engagement of it all. But yeah, no, maybe it's Lynn. Maybe it's that whole sort of thing is bringing that rhythm back into your life. Did you experience, if we're looking at, I don't want to start looking into people's lives. That's on a healing video. I'm not going to start looking energetically into your life because I don't want to, we'll do that on another day. But do you have another place, another time within your life where a similar sort of thing happened in your past? Because if you see what the rhythm came, absolutely, I panicked for a minute, but no, the next house will support this new energy. Okay, that's good. So this is it. And what in the past, did that a similar sort of thing happen in the past? And what was the rhythm? What did you need to do in order to get to where the good results after that moment? Because there's nuggets of gold in there for you, really, of how to sort of allow yourself to to use your past in order to go quicker, much quicker. So this could be a really good time. It sounds like a really good time for you, actually, Lynn. Sounds like it could be really, really good. Everything is magic. Cycles or spirals within cycles, and fractals and fractals of fractals. Yeah, totally. What's that? The Mandelbrot fractal. You look at it in numbers. If you take the seven, do premonitions have anything to do with recognizing the rhythms? Premonitions. It's preempting what is coming round the corner, and that's what I mean. When it's sort of like, once you get into the rhythm of life, you can feel that there's work energy coming up. So I've got to concentrate on the money side of life, that sort of thing. Yeah, and you got a premonition that actually, I know that there's a job offer coming open up, So those sort of things tie in together. If you can tie them in with the premonitions, it can help you enormously in the manifestation front. Manifesting what you want to be, or what you want to be living, the experience you want to be living. That's so true. Premonitions do play a lot within it. The cycles and the numbers. If you do the 7 cycles, so 1 7 is 7. 2 sevens is 14. Now that's 5. 1 and 4, that's 5. And then 3 sevens are 21. That's 3. 4 sevens are 28. That's 1 because it's 10. That's 2 and 8. It's 1. 5 sevens are 35. That's 8. 6 sevens are 42. That's 6. So then you get 8. So basically, the 7 cycle goes 7, 5, 3, 1, 8, 6, 4, 2, 9. And then it just keeps repeating. So each number has its own rhythmical fashion going on. And that's what the cycles and rhythms. So you've got multitudes of cycles and rhythms, and that's why you get fractals in life, because it's a collection of harmonics between different types of rhythms in life. But once you get that, once you understand the fractal, you can explore the fractal in multitudes of different directions that goes through the spirals and so forth of the different rhythms of life, basically. The past was scary. I wasn't in control, but left him, and now I can decide how I navigate life. So true. In a good place. Excellent. Well, this time here, you don't need to be scared anymore. Because you're probably a lot more in control. So if you think back of all the sort of the kind of things you thought kind of going, oh, this could be great. Oh, it didn't come off. This didn't come off. Oh, this didn't come off. Maybe this time around now, it will come off. And that gave you you try out things in life, and then you get you practice in a band to play a song until you get it right, and then when you get it right, you can actually play the music, as it were. Life with Lewis. It's Ruby, isn't it? I'm really bad at names. Really bad at names. But it's actually your name is actually, is it Ruby? I might be wrong. I might be getting that wrong. But do tell me, because last time I was calling you Louis, and I don't think it is your name. But if you didn't tell us and you don't want to, that's fine. I don't mind. That could really help you, Lynn. That past. That's what I mean by remembering. You're not actually living that lesson again. You're just remembering, I've already done this, and I can do this differently this time. And that's where it comes into helping you to do manifestation and so forth, which is really good. It really does help out enormously. Yeah. Oh, hang on a second. There we go. Let me just make sure I've got that on the right. I just moved my screen around. I don't know whether that moved everything on my screen that I was doing. Yeah. So, and why me? Because you are you, I guess. It's like if you take a puzzle, no piece can be the same, because otherwise it wouldn't be a puzzle. And you've got to be Marie-Louise. Maria Lewis is my spouse. Right, okay. Maria Lewis is my spouse. Right, okay. Fair enough. Okay. So you are Lewis, are you? Yeah. What? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, hello, your spouse. Yes. I'm now getting the full download. So yeah, Lewis. But yes, that's yeah. So that's yeah. I forgot what I was saying then. You threw me there with your spouse there, Maria Lewis. So yeah, it's there's huge amounts going on of learning processes of helping you to manifest things. That's what it's all about. And once you start manifesting it, and man, peace, love, and dove. Thank you. Reincarnation would be great to learn. You know, it is an amazing subject. Thanking you very much for that. Seriously, absolutely lovely. Big hugs to you. You know, YouTube. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road. I said to myself, I'm not going to. I am Maria. Is that the sound of music, Maria? Thanking you very much. Peace, love, dove. Really, really do appreciate it. Could you explain this? So Maria, lovely. Could you explain this? This comes from Cosmic Love Tarot. Could you explain this? My life path is 6. My first husband, who was my... hang on a second. Oh, was my... sorry. Was my father in my past life. Oh, right, okay. Birthday was on the 6th. Our son passed away on his birthday. Blimey. So number 6... seems to play a very significant number. Do you know what? Okay. Obviously, a lot of energy to you for all of that. Thank you very much for sharing. I know it can be difficult sometimes to share, but, we're all in it together, I lived in a house. I was living on a farm, and this is where I had my NDE, and I had a lot of revelations. And the telephone number of the place was 660-600. So 660-600. So I had all the O's and all the 6s. And it was, a freaky number to have. Okay. So 6, when you're talking about numerology, in regards to sacred geometry and energy, 6 is the same as 1. Okay, I've done a whole video on this, but it's very complex. But 6 is 1. Okay, it's like the completion. So the 6-pointed star is the Star of David. So you get the triangle above and the triangle below. That's like the yin and the yang. That is the one coming together. It is the perfect. The Jewish religion call 6 the number of the big cheese. Yeah, love to you, Cosmic Love Tarot. Thanking you, for sharing and everything like that. Yeah. This is what the Astro family should be about, man. We're all in it together. We all should be rowing together. We're all learning together. Every day's a school day. Hey. So yeah. 6 is like the number of the big cheese. It's like 1.618 or 0.618, whichever way you prefer to look at it. It's got that starting 1.616 and 1 8, as it were, and the 8 is like the two universes coming together, as it were, the infinity and the vertical sort of sign. But 6 is an incredible, powerful number. And 6, if you look so if you do 6 cycle, so 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, so that's 3. 6 times 3 is 18, which is 9. And then 6 times 4 is 24, which is 6. So it goes 639, 639, 639. So it goes, anti-clockwise. And if you take 3, it goes 3, 6, 9. So that's basically what it does. It goes like that. So 4 3s are 12. So you go back to 3. So you go 4, 6, 9, 4, 6, 9, 4, 6, 9, 4, 6, 9. And that is the clockwise. So clockwise is Earth energy. Anti-clockwise is universal energy, as it were, or the Aryan energy, or the 4 physical planets to the 4 gas planets, and that's what you get. That so you get 6 doing that, which is the gas planets, and you get the 3, which is the solid planets, and so forth, and the 9 is the kingpin, which is the sun, the asteroids, and Pluton. That's that whole yin, that whole infinity sign. If you imagine the infinity sign, one side is the sun, the pinching point is the asteroid, and the other side of the infinity is Pluto. And so it goes like that. It goes that whole infinity. So, and that's the vibration of the solar system. Within that first cycle there, that's where you get the 4 physical planets. On the other cycle there, that's where you get the 4 gas planets. Okay, so Cosmic Love Tarot, as my birthday is the 18th, and my son, 18, my son who passed, was 27. So all on the number 9. Number 9 is the kingpin. You know that trick as kids. So 3 times 9, you do that, is 27. You know that rule? And that's sort of like, so if you do 7 times 9, it is 7 times 9 is 63. You've got that. And so also you get on the 9 of Pentacles, you get those 6 pentacles one side and 3 pentacles the other. If you've known about the 9 of Pentacles. Let me try and find it in a traditional thing. It'd be nice if you were at the surface there somewhere. Yeah, so you get it's that's all to do with the cycles as well. And 6 is a universal cycle. So it's going towards the cosmos, as it were. Let me just find the 9 of Pentacles. There's 7. There's 10. Where are you? I mixed it in here somewhere. I know I did. Doesn't want to come out. It's going to be the very last card. It pretty much is, Oh, I might have missed it. Anyway, you'll see it in one of your readings. So she has the 6 of Pentacles on one side. 6 of Pentacles is all about self. 3 of Pentacles is all about fair exchange, respectful, presenting your good works with good works of others. But you have to have that side of 6 of Pentacles, which is good for you. So a lot of things coming in here. Sorry, I've been love this. Numerology is fascinating. It certainly is. But think about this, Erin. The actual 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as it were. They're not very old. They come from other things. So if you imagine you've got your 1, which is just like the vertical, and then you've got your 2, which is a curve and 1 straight, and then you've got your 3, that's just 3 curves. There's like I did a whole video on and we went back into the Arab numbers and stuff like that. I'll try and dig it out at some point. Thank you as well, Cosmic Tower, for being here. It's without you as well, without everybody, without us all being here, life will be not so rich and great to be part of. Just need to schedule an appointment. Where's that one come from, Stacey? What's the appointment? What's the appointment all about? You fixing an appointment to? Are we going to be seeing each other soon? That'd be lovely. You can find it in the description below if you want to book up a session with me. You're more than welcome. I will be in the UK at some point, so I can do 1-to-1. In the same room, physical readings, as it were. So I will be in the UK. Okay, it's let me just, I'll tell you what. Let me try and find where the links are. Now, here we go. So here's a tarot and healing. Let me just put it in there. I'll paste it. There we go. Like that. And what I'll do is I'll pin it as well. Hey! See, technically I'm not too bad. So yeah, you've got those two links there. You can either have a tarot reading with, you know, or you know, there's a 30-minute tarot reading on one link and a healing on the other link. You know, which is they're different things. Different things. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a live about the healing because it's phenomenal. It's a great thing. It's an absolute joy to be part of. Sometimes when you're doing healing, you know, and you've got someone sitting in front of you, you see this just moment within their aura, within them, just this moment of kind of going, understanding, which they allow themselves to kind of let go of something. And it's really beautiful to be part of that. Really is really beautiful. Yeah. I'm 9 in numerology. Are you peace, love, dove? 9. Okay, so Virgo. Virgo is the original name for Virgo was Bethlehem, so it's the house of bread, and that's why she holds 5 sheaves of loaves, 5 sheaves of wheat. She should be holding 5 sheaves of wheat, and 9, as I said, is the perfect number. 9, that's the magic number. Yes, it is. What was that? That's De La Soul, wasn't it? Blimey, I'm showing my age again. Yeah. So, Virgos. Interesting times for Virgos at the moment. Your energy's been really, really... you've got a high level of energy over the past month or so. And it's getting into that rhythm, knowing when to push that energy and knowing when to kind of go, okay, now I need to take time, relax, restock, now push again. And it comes in cycles, and you know, Bethlehem is also, it's like, you know, Virgo is obviously like the Virgin Mary, as it were. That's why it's opposite to Pisces. That's why you get, you know, Pisces is the sign of JC, is Jesus, and it's like that's why you had the 2 loaves and the 5 breads. You know, the feeding of the 5,000. You know, that's it's a parable about the astral belt that goes around the magician of the coming of the age of Pisces, backed up by Virgo, who was its opposite, and the purity of Virgo, because that's what Virgo is all about seeking purity. And so then, you know, then you get, and we've just come, so we've moved out of Pisces, we've now got into Aquarius, and Aquarius is all to do with John the Baptist. It's the person who it's the water bearer. It's the one who gives water to, and you know, and that's why John the Baptist is, you know, sort of says, my time is not now. It will be coming in the future. You know, because of that sort of whole sort of cycle, as it were. So, yeah, Virgo. Very interesting sign, Virgo. My father's Virgo and my sister's Virgo. My dad is my mum is Aries, and my brother is Aries. And I'm just a poor little Capricorn between the two. It's terrible. So yeah, but yeah, you know, if you've got any ideas of sort of lives that you might want to do in the coming future, you know, just drop them in any sort of videos, because I respond to all the comments. I do look at them all. Sometimes, you know, I take a bit of a break, and so I try and respond in batches. So if I don't get back to you straight away, it is because I'm not online and I'm doing other stuff. But, you know, if you've got any ideas for doing lives and stuff like that, you know, because it'd be great. Okay, and I am getting down that road of I'm getting together with what's it called? what's that street that Zoom. Thank you. Zoom. I'm trying to work out a Zoom thing so we can have Zoom collective sessions so we can see each other and talk to each other, because I think it'd be a lot better. And I'm getting there, because I don't know how to work it to, so everybody can have their say and everything like that. I need to learn a little bit more about it so I can actually manage it as a thing, because I don't know how to manage a collective Zoom, as it were. So I need to work that out. But yeah, if you've got any ideas of what you want to be talking about, what we can discuss between us all in a live, just put them into any of the any video that you happen to be watching. You kind of think, yeah, that'd be a great subject. Put it down. We can talk about it. Okay. What's the time? I've gone for ages, haven't I? Sorry, I do apologise. Once I start going, this is what I mean about time being circular and spherical. I don't notice it. I don't notice it. There you go. Yes, I think it's probably time to say thank you all for being here with us. Very much appreciated, everybody that's been here. I'm an awesome Cappy. Yeah. I'm Cappy. I'll leave the awesome bit to others, but I'm an Aries. Yeah, you're an Aries, aren't you, Erin? Birthday was just on the 3rd, my 60th. Fair play to you. And I've had a lot going on. I tell you, Aries it's been a game of similar. Funny thing is Aquarius went for a similar sort of thing about sort of 6 months ago, and Aries seems to be in this position at the moment where they've got to reposition themselves to the rest of the world. You have to position yourself so others can recognize how you position, and then therefore if they get in the way, they get in the way. But it's a lot easier to sort things out if you just stop still and position yourself in a way. That's the general sort of feeling I get from sort of like Aries at the moment. My brother's been getting good at that. Cappy Noon here. Okay. Excellent, Rachel. Yeah, there's Capricorns. Amazing. Anyway, I'm going to say, and you're a Capricorn. I tell you, the Capricorns, every sign's absolutely amazing. And every sign is really bad. There is the yin and yang to every sign. Maybe we should go into that. Is that happy birthday? Is it in the 3rd? It's the 3rd of April. I'm sorry, Erin. I completely spaced that. Well done, peace, love, dove. Thank you. That's why the Astroflowers family's great. Thank you, peace, love, dove, for saying that. Yeah, happy birthday, Erin. Sorry for 2 or 3 days ago. Do apologise. Right. Okay. Well, lovely to see you all. It's absolutely brilliant. I thank you very much. It's always an absolute pleasure. Thank you for all the support you give to this channel through the YouTube system. That's absolutely brilliant. I need to get my things. I need to get my ducks in rows here. Hang on. There we go. Got my duck in a row. Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for sharing and everything like that as well. Thank you for all the support you give to it. I'll see you soon. We'll see each other soon. In the meantime, don't forget, life should be fun. So please do enjoy.